Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Daily on City TV. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. We're so happy you can join us. It's a packed show today. We're going to discuss what's going on in your community. Philip Kofi Ashong will join us to talk to us about clearing up space on our laptops and computers. And of course, we have the news review. But before all of that, we'll take a look at our quote of the day. And the quote of the day is coming from Bernard M. Baruch. It says, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind." I'm going to take that again. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Now, this is really important because sometimes we focus so much on what other people think of us. We focus so much on what they may say of us. And majority of the time, they are not even thinking about us. In the grand scheme of things, their opinions are not that valid. So as you go through life, focus more on doing what fulfills you. Again, it's an interactive show, so wherever you're watching us from, we want to hear from you. If you're on Facebook, you can comment down below. If you're on other social media platforms, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And if you want to reach us directly, our WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. I've sent Donato for us to get me some house cocoa, so he'll be joining us shortly. But we still have a pandemic on our hands, and now more than ever, we need basic necessities like water, electricity, and access to things that will help us develop. Unfortunately, there are certain communities in this country that still do not have access to constant electricity. We have a report on that. We'll take a look at it and then continue the show.
There are many deprived communities in Ghana that do not have access to electricity, and as a result to torchlights and lanterns at night for their activities. Akua Kese, a farming community close to Asaman Kese, is one of such deprived communities. The indigents also walk long distances to the nearest town to charge their phones, where they are charged between 50 pesos to 1 Ghana cedis per phone.
Light no so de yenya no we a yenya no bebre so anka if say sisi solar in e de e wa hanu by inside like here dem mu ana we ni say there ye ni kan e nti so omo bre yen bebre na ye betumi use wo baby an so de anka oh ye ko kofu from enye enokra enye easy my and then you say, wow, yeah, more fee from by another more qua, and more qua, na ya mom, inside the ya the phone, no, I'm mom. No mark charging turn up, now me, I don't ma. You say to the crap, a doom say, when you'll be out, or this a while. What they'll call, and also cry yet, or how be mine.
Or how I do brain titruni sa chrono, and I do on be behind, as I say, can you any henty? Afi nkola no suku asem omo nya kanea emfa nsua ade eno ne how to triwa wo so e ofie ha.
Aside from the many known challenges that the lack of electricity poses, school children, especially final year students, are forced to use torchlights and lamps.
I am forced to assemble.
Acho high on pa ye ni light in the high Ebi se do anadwo kwa ya dis nkwala no ma o ma disua eyede. Ensu si na se a light by even though ya re into no school kwa eyede he ni ho by light by the omo for so esua aden kakra.
Tuffour, an international multimedia evangelism organization, as part of its corporate social responsibilities to deprived communities, has constructed a solar multi-purpose pole that provides light and a charging system for the people to charge their phones. The pole, according to the project manager of Tuffour, has a specially built communication system connected to horn speakers that allows for sending information to the community from people's phones.
Into this village and we realized that the place is dark. Children have to walk long distances to go and learn in the cities because there's no light in the community. The team sat back and we came up with an idea of a multi-purpose pole. And that's why we are here, a solar-powered multi-purpose pole. And that pole provides light, solar-powered light. It also provides a charging system where the people in the community can charge their phones, because when we did the research here, people have to walk long distance to Asamankasi to charge their phone, and they have to pay 1 cedi to charge their phone. So bringing this light here, they can charge their phone, and also the kids can surround the pole and study at night.
The chiefs and residents of Akua could not hide their joy.
Akua boy almost 100 years. Who can you have that? This is Ukukruma, no work can you. The first time. That's a Uncle this year, your light. Some say, Diana Dua, our professional dia, who can you have a count of the wolf, you know? Untwin Jam Aqualan, says, I'll be on family idea. And say, Dear Aqualana this year, not a demano. Young pain for some say, you put to my brabo, light, dear, we are like to pay on our brabo Ashland. Aha. No crown some now, ya cano.
Ya Bethlehem fi edunu enumni yen light wa ha yen bibia wa ha ka yesre mpodan ko womla he mofla school wa ha so hu antuma fama ti ya hawa wa ha no oh senda ya preden ka light be ba ha so yen sanka te ja ya ha na obi mba ha de obeba he bi ti yen yin nampo no wo de ba ti yen ya je bebele mi de mi yen goduma nti bi ba yetu na ma asol na me yengu nti samso na me ya light in hwa ni ntumi ya men yi ti mo de ba na mama.
Right, so those are the challenges there. But around this time, you would expect that in as much as we are having to deal with coronavirus, people will have the laxity or the freedom of mind to be able to concentrate on the various protocols. But having to deal with some of these challenges, you'll be tempted to throw away the protocols and focus on your basic necessities, which is true. Because, I mean, if your roads are bad, you need electricity. I mean, obviously we are being asked to stay home, so you need some form of entertainment indoors, and you do not have electricity. So how do you go about that? So it's really challenging. And then these residents of Akua is somewhere in the eastern region. Now, all they're asking for is to be connected to the national grid so that they can have some, at least, reliable supply of power that they can put to use. I mean, with power, they can start some business even within their locality so that they don't necessarily have to travel several towns to fend for themselves. So it is important that the pleas or the cries of these people are heard and some solutions are preferred to ameliorate the challenges or to reduce the burden on them. It is really important, and kudos to Tuffour for stepping in there to provide some respite, although not entirely. The government should be able to get in there and help out. Electricity is really, really crucial around this time where we're being asked to stay home. It's really important that they do have some power. And then if you listen to them, they also have challenges with their roads, which is also very, very crucial, because for a place like Akua, if they do not have a major hospital, say a pregnant woman is due for labor and she has to be transported to a hospital outside of town, and if the roads are bad, commuting on such a road could lead to so many complications, if not the loss of life. So it is really important that some of the concerns they are raising there are heard and some solutions are preferred, tailored to suit the people of Akua.
Yeah.
Really, really important.
What saddens me most about this particular story is that already these people are marginalized.
Yeah.
You know, other kids from more well-to-do communities may be able to afford tutors at this time. They may have constant access to internet to go online to study. Now you have children in this community probably don't have access to private tutors, don't have access to internet, most likely. The most basic thing we can do for them is provide access to electricity, because we all know that education is the one key that will help them rise out of poverty.
Exactly.
So the most basic thing we can do is provide electricity for the children so they can study, because their colleagues, their peers in other communities are going ahead. They are studying, they are going to go on to pass their exams, they are going to go on to grow up and be globally competitive. What's going to happen to these children who already are marginalized because they don't have access to certain resources like private tutors, internet, and now you're talking about electricity. So I think when it comes to dealing with a pandemic, communities that already do not have access to certain basic things should be prioritized. These are the communities that should be provided more books, more tutors, more resources to ensure that the children there will have control over their destinies enough to rise out of whatever economic inhibitions they may have currently. But if we fail to provide them constant electricity, then we are already adding on to the burdens that they face, and it becomes more difficult for these children to determine their destinies. There are doctors in there, lawyers in there, policemen in there, journalists in there. They have their whole lives ahead of them. The most basic thing we can do is to ensure that they have the resources so that all they need will be their passion, their grit, and their hard work. But if we can't do that, then we're failing them.
That's true. I mean, if you watch the video there, you see the children in the community making the efforts to study. Now, we know that around these areas, there's so much to do, especially now that school is not in session and they are home and have to study on their own. So during the day, I mean, there will be so many errands to run. And so at the time of the day that they really have the luxury of time to study will probably be going into the evening when night is falling, and it will be dark around that time. And so it will be very difficult to study without electricity. Now, let's look at the effects, long-term effects. If I have to study with, say, a lantern over a period, straining my eyes from that age till I'm old enough to move out of that community into a bigger town where there's electricity. Now, we might downplay some of these things, but eventually, the kind of effects it will have on the eye itself will be so major that it will bring another problem onto the individual there. So it's important that we provide some of these amenities. I mean, electricity. Everyone should have electricity, no matter where you are in this country. It is important that we send electricity to some of these areas to ensure that, especially now that our kids are home, they can learn at home. And then, of course, we keep touting human resource, but if some of the enabling environment to help the human resource grow is not available, then it's pretty difficult to go on that kind of trajectory. So it's really important that we provide for some of these communities.
Yeah, and when it comes to education in particular, the most important thing you need will be a solid foundation. And at their age, if you're confused in mathematics, if you're confused in basic English, if you are lost in science, it will be very difficult for you to build on those basic fundamentals. And the luxury that you need when you're studying is time. Another kid who has constant access to electricity can spend 3 to 5 hours understanding a math equation. Another child can spend all evening trying to understand that science equation. But if you find yourself in this neighborhood and all you have is a lamp, or your parents can't even afford that, so you are losing time, eventually you won't have that drive to continue. Because at that age, getting equations right, passing basic simple things, they go a very long way in building your confidence in whatever subject you're studying. But if you keep studying and you keep getting the answers wrong because, one, you don't have the time, two, you don't have an enabling environment, after a while you will just say, let me settle for something basic. Let me just go be a trader. Let me do this. We've stolen that child's future from him or her by not providing that enabling environment for them to grow and thrive. So I really hope that beyond this conversation, we begin to look at economically disadvantaged neighborhoods in our country and equip them with the basic necessities so that the children there can also compete, not only within Ghana, but across the continent and across the globe.
I agree. It's like the coronavirus has taken center stage of our national discourse for the past 4 or 5 months. And so we are relegating some of these other equally important issues to the background. And so it's important that we keep reminding ourselves that these challenges also exist. And then, of course, in our fight towards economic empowerment or economic freedom, we make sure that we factor in some of these challenges and not dedicate of course, the fight against COVID is much important, but then, of course, we should go hand in hand with addressing some of these challenges. If we keep relegating all other issues to the background because now we're dealing with COVID, it will come back to haunt us someday. And so it is important that in as much as we're dedicating resources, we're committing money, we're committing our time to fighting the coronavirus pandemic, it is equally important that we make room for solutions to some of these challenges, because be it as it may, coronavirus will be staying with us for quite a while, and so life must go on regardless. And for life to go on, some of these challenges also need to be addressed.
And speaking of challenges, if you have any problems within your community, your roads are bad, you don't have electricity, your schools are terrible, your hospitals are nothing to write home about, and you want the president to see exactly what's happening, take out your phone and record an up to 1 minute video. We want to see exactly what's happening in your neighborhood and send them to us at our email, hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com. You can also WhatsApp that video to us via our WhatsApp number 0550585832, and every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. we will show those videos. We'll show those messages to the world, and we will call on policymakers to answer to those problems that you're experiencing so that you can finally get the solutions you need to properly develop and also grow in your community.
Yeah, that's right. So send in those videos, just about 1 minute, or send us a write-up about 250 words maximum via the email hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com or via the WhatsApp number 0550585832, and we'll be sure to air them right here on the show on Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. and we'll be sure to get you some responses to the various challenges that you raise. So send in those videos, send in those write-ups, and then let us together build this nation to the level where it ought to be. We are in this fight together, and so we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know the problems specific to your areas. Send us those videos, send us those write-ups. Let me put out the email address one more time. It's hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com, and the WhatsApp number is 0550585832. Send in the challenges in your area, or whatever issue it is that you need some response to, or you would want the powers that be to address them. Send them in, and we'll be sure to put them out there to get the necessary responses or replies to them. And so together, like I said earlier, we can build this nation.
Now, there's still a silver lining in all of this because we still have a lot of talented young people in the country. And come August 1st, we get to go on a journey of literally sieving out the people who don't make it to the top 20 of Keyboard Idol. For the past couple of months, we've been sharing videos of all 250 entries we received with you. And come Saturday, August 1st, we get to join the judges to see what goes into selecting the top 20.
Yeah, so on August 1, I'm sure you'll be behind your TVs. We'll also be behind our sets. I would actually love to be in the studio to witness it firsthand. The more like a pre-audition where you get to know who are making it to the first 20 out of the over 200. 300 entries we've received. Our judges have taken the pains, the time to go through all the entries and have come up with 20 persons who are going to go into the final session. And so, yes, I think we want to treat you to some of the videos, give you a feel of what to expect on August 1. Right, so these are some of the videos you'll be seeing on the 1st of August. We'll take you through the pre-audition where our judges get to explain to us what exactly it is they were looking for, what the selection criteria was, and how they came about the final 20. Remember, Keyboard Idol is going to be live on City TV. We're promising you a very, very exciting journey where we get to see all these proteges working their magic on the black and white keys. It's going to be very, very exciting, and I can't wait for the competition itself to start. It's really going to be amazing, won't it?
It'll be a blast. I mean, I mean, we have such talent in this country, and I think for all the parents who are watching, you should use this as an inspiration to expose your children to different things. They will not know how talented they are if they are not exposed to things like this. So if your child is curious about swimming, if your child is curious about playing the keyboard, drumming, those formative years are golden. Expose them to as many things as possible so they can see what they are capable of. I can't even do half of the things these kids are doing. So I think all 250 of them are winners, but we really need to get to a point where we nurture the talent and gifts with our children have, because those things are going to be rich resources for the entire country, and it's important that we all do that. But we have a packed show for you. I told you that later on, Philip Kofi Ashong will be joining us, talk to us about storage on your computer. A lot of people struggle with this. You're like, how do I make space on my computer? So if you have any questions that you would want us to ask him, let us know ahead of time with a hashtag and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. And that's Tuffour will also be taking us into the news review.
Yeah.
What's going on in the country right now?
There are a number of issues. I mean, we can talk voter registration. We can do COVID-19 itself. The fact that the president has resumed work after a 14-day isolation. A number of issues.
He's saying he wasn't in the UK. You know, some people were saying that he went to the UK.
And he actually laughed it off yesterday that he's sitting in his home and then he was being told that he was on a flight that was actually being plotted on a map somewhere, that he was on his way to Oxford. I mean, very interesting stuff. But of course, the news review promises to be very, very interesting. We're going to pick the topics and then we're going to delve into them to get a proper understanding of what the issues are. But today happens to be a very, very exciting day in the boxing fraternity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, today is the birthday of the professor Azuma Nelson.
You're kidding.
Zoom. And yes,
wow.
and the beautiful thing is that he's got perhaps the best birthday gift ever, because Isaac the Royal Storm Dogbe also won a fight this dawn.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Isaac Dogbe perhaps is giving the professor
of boxing.
exactly the best birthday gift ever. You know, Dogbe lost to Navarrete back to back twice in a row.
It was painful to watch, actually.
And he hadn't won any fight since 2018, and so to come back this way, that's a lot to the boxing fraternity.
On Azuma Nelson's birthday.
Yeah, on his birthday.
Wow.
It brings so much life into the sport. It boosts the confidence of the boxer himself. And you see, he, although he went to the 8 rounds, he won on a technical knockout. The fight had to be stopped because he was punishing his opponent so much. And it's such great news.
I love it. And they share birthdays with our very own Pearl Hammond, the best makeup artist in Ghana. If you've not checked out her YouTube page, go and check it. She's so talented. Her YouTube page is Polished by Pearl. Check it out. If you're getting married, if you're starting your birthday and you want to be glammed up, Akua by Pearl is the girl to go to. We love you so much, and we're so thankful that you're celebrating your birthday. So I think one of these days you should join us for DIY and do the makeup things for us. But thank you guys so much for joining us for Breakfast Daily. My name is Dziffa Ametam.
And my name is Tuffour Boateng. We'll be right back.
Thank you, sir. Hello, my name is Samuel Ofori, a film actor and a film director. Because of the nature of my job, the taste for quality things is endless. Quality phones, quality laptops, quality TV sets. Let me show you my secret. Here is Franco Trading Enterprise. My secret for quality laptops, quality phones, quality TV sets, accessories, come on, external hard drive, pen drive, name it. For bulk purchase and retails, come to Franco Trading Enterprise. They will reduce the price for you. Franco Trading Enterprise, home of quality.
This is Daily on City TV. It's time for the news review segment where we get to discuss the various topics making rounds in the dailies. We want to break to you the various headlines of the various newspapers, and then we introduce our guests and we get into the conversation. So I'm going to start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper says government won't collapse local automobile industry, and this is President Akua speaking. There's a nice picture of the president there. Says government won't collapse local automobile industry. Enhancing ease of doing business, GSA, FDA harmonize operations, and plans outlined for clearing 23,000 COVID-19 test backlog. Plans outlined for clearing 23,000 COVID-19 test backlog. LPG endorses Kofi Akpalu as 2020 presidential candidate. That's the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's do the Ghanaian Times now. Ghanaian Times. Major story says hostilities at voter registration centers. Stop acts of violence. Peace Council descends on political parties. Stop acts of violence. Peace Council descends on political parties. Top left says chaos at Kaswa. Police invite Hawa Kumsin. 4 others granted bail. EC condemns disturbances at registration centers, and government embarks on massive disinfection exercise in the Ashanti region. That's the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's now move to the Chronicle. The Chronicle says suspected police killing, Konongo death cannot be natural. Professor Beduakosa tells court. Suspected police killing, Konongo death cannot be natural. Professor Beduakosa tells court. Occupy Ghana. Prosecute Hawa Kumsen if. Prosecute Hawa Kumsen if. The story here says Finance Minister is not obliged to account for COVID-19 funds, and Mahama cannot escape from Airbus bribery scam. All the details in the Chronicle newspaper. Let's do the New Crusading Guide. The New Crusading Guide. Kennedy Japan flawed again as court dismisses his application to halt Anas's defamation suit. Kennedy Japan flawed again as court dismisses his application to halt Anas's defamation suit. Government of Ghana, GOG, intensifies disinfection exercise in the Ashanti region. Disregard falsehood about Bishop Charles Agyinasare. He has never applied for nor received a loan from First Trust Savings and Loans. And this one says Nana Kwame Bediako honored for his outstanding achievements. That's the New Crusading Guide. Now we can do the Finder newspaper now. The Finder newspaper. New COVID-19 strategy. Health workers, contact tracing of symptomatic patients to be priority. And this is attributed to Dr. Kumar Boaje, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. New COVID-19 strategy. Health workers, contact tracing of symptomatic patients to be priority. Government spends $35 million on testing for COVID-19. Government spends $35 million on testing for COVID-19. And there's a picture of the Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Bernardo Kuboy, there. Interest of local automobile dealers will be protected. Interest of local automobile dealers will be protected. This is President Akufo-Addo speaking. And CBG renovates Airport District Police Station, supports 2 others. CBG renovates Airport District Police Station, supports 2 others. That's the front page of the Finder newspaper. Let's wrap it up with the Custodian. The Custodian. Front page of the Custodian says High Court dampens NDC's hope. Hawa Kumsen defends defensive gunshots. And then NPA CEO courts public support for CRM project. And finally, I won't beg NDC for recognition. This is Koku Anidoho speaking. Let's now move online and check out some of the stories on there. I'll start off from the citynewsroom.com. Citynewsroom.com says Hawa Kumsen must face the law like any other Ghanaian. And this is Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired, a security expert or security analyst speaking there. Hawa Kumsen, this one says Hawa Kumsen must face Privileges Committee over gun incident. That's Ras Mubarak, a member of parliament, speaking there. Hawa Kumsen must face Privileges Committee over gun incident. Gabi Ochre Dako defends Akufo-Addo from nepotism, cronyism claims. Gabi Ochre Dako defends Akufo-Addo from nepotism and cronyism claims. We're still on the City Newsroom. Buyers, the Futu police doing NPP's bidding in registration exercise. This is attributed to James Kofi Annan. Now, James Kofi Annan is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Futu constituency in the Central Region. I wasn't flown to UK for COVID-19 treatment. Nana Addo. I wasn't flown to UK for COVID-19 treatment. That's President Akua speaking there. Still on the citynewsroom.com. Well, let's do some business stories from citybusinessnews.com. BOG's Monetary Policy Committee begins 3-day meeting today to assess the economy. BOG's Monetary Policy Committee begins 3-day meeting today to assess the economy. Make provision for our $1.4 billion debt in mid-year budget. IPPs to government. Make provision for our $1.4 billion debt in mid-year budget. IPPs to government. Over 90% of foreigners or foreign retailers have no permits to trade. Over 90% of foreign retailers have no permits to trade. This is the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, speaking there. Automobile sales to pick up towards end of 2020. This is the Silver Star Auto boss speaking. Automobile sales to pick up towards the end of 2020. Now, Silver Star Auto Limited launches new dealership for Citroen brand of vehicles. Silver Star Auto Limited launches new dealership for Citroen brand of vehicles. All these and more on the citybusinessnews.com. Let's now go to myjoyonline.com. And NPP must sanction Hawa Kumsen. Peace Council condemns Kaswa shooting. NPP must sanction Hawa Kumsen. Peace Council condemns Kaswa shooting. Let's go for some foreign news from the BBC.com. We're doing Africa Live, and it says DR Congo lifts COVID-19 state of emergency. DR Congo lifts COVID-19 state of emergency. That's on the BBC.com. And so for more news, do visit citynewsroom.com, where you get details of all the top stories making rounds as and when they drop. Citynewsroom.com, your trusted source for news. And then, of course, for your business news, you can visit citybusinessnews.com, where you get relevant, reliable information for your business day. Citybusinessnews.com. And so we're going to introduce our guests who are joining us via Zoom this morning. We have Nakoyo Okuno, who is the parliamentary candidate for Awutu Senya East constituency, joining us via Zoom. And then also we have Laura Tumusa Saka, who is a member of the NPP's communication team, both joining us via Zoom. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Anna.
I trust we're all doing well.
Sure.
Awesome. So basically, we're going to look at the various stories.
I'm sorry for making you lonely today.
That's fine. I have Dziffa here to keep me company, so it's fine.
That's good.
All right, so this one we're looking at a number of issues, but starting off with the voters registration exercise, and we're going to zoom into the Kaswa issue and then see what we can make of that story. And so I'm going to pick a story off the citynewsroom.com, where the Peace Council has waded into the issue, and the story reads: Peace Council chair calls on Hawa Kumsen to resign after shooting incident. The National Peace Council chairman, Reverend Emmanuel Asante, has called on the Awutu Senya East MP, Mavis Hawa Kumsen, to resign after she admitted firing a gun at a voter registration center in her constituency. Quote, if she doesn't do that, the president must terminate her appointment, end quote. Reverend Asante added when he spoke on Eyewitness News. The Peace Council chairman also urged Parliament to take an interest in how the matter unraveled. Quote, the Privileges Committee must take this seriously because he had brought the name of Parliament into disrepute, he remarked. Reverend Asante stressed that the MP's conduct was unconscionable. And so, yes, just a brief background to that story. We understand there was some confrontation at a registration center in Kaswa. Step to Christ Registration Center in Kaswa, which is in the Utusenya East constituency. And we understand the Member of Parliament was there. Maybe it's Hawa Kumsin was there. Now, gunshots were fired, but she has claimed to be the one to have fired the shots, and so the Peace Council has waded into this issue. Laura, let me start with you. What do you make of this issue as it has panned out so far? The violence that has characterized the registration in some centers. I mean, we can be fair to say that it hasn't been general, it hasn't been national, but it's popped up in some centers, and of course the subsequent admission by the Member of Parliament that indeed she is the one that fired the shots. Laura, too.
Good morning, Nana, and good morning to our cherished viewers, and good morning to my sister on the other side. Never met her. Met a couple of sisters from the other side, but not met her. Good morning to her, and it's good to see that we are having a number of women come up to take up a position. So, congratulations on winning your primaries. We've never met, but thank you so much. You know, definitely, once there are two of you and I have interest in it, definitely, probably maybe in another few years, we'll be congratulating. Not this time. Anyway, Nana, I will not reduce the registration exercise solely to one of violence. I mean, violence at any level, in any circumstances, is unfortunate. Should not be something that we should be subscribing to. But I wouldn't want us to reduce our registration exercise that the EC has conducted so well so far. They've been quite they've been communicating with citizens. They've been on top of the issues at every point in time. They are out to clarify, they are out to take feedback and all that. So I don't think we should use isolated cases, not to say they are not important, but I don't think we should generalize and use isolated cases to mar what the good work the EC has done so far. I mean, we all know what heralded in all the accusations, counter accusations, all the comments, all the opinions that were shared, counter opinions that were shared, but the EC was still resolute, and I must say we should commend them for how carefully they've conducted this. It's not perfect, but I think they've done so well, and we all need to support them. But coming to the incident in the Utusenya East, and specifically one of the centers in Kaswa. I will, from my side and from the party's side, I think that living in a system where we are guided by the rule of law, and this particular incident is one that the police have already taken charge of. If you've been following, the gentlemen that were, or should I say the men that were arrested, have been charged or have been taken to process to court already and have been granted bail. Yes, and the police also indicated they are going to follow up and call the current MP, Honorable Hawa Kumsin, and continue with the investigation. I think that we should leave it, because definitely I sitting here have a side. My sister on the other side has a, and she's a huge stakeholder because she's the NDC's candidate in there. But I think that we should leave it. We would have been pushing it if the police hadn't taken up their duty to interrogate this thoroughly and come out with it. The calls, I mean, this is nation building. People have shown concern, which is in the right direction. People have shared their opinions that are welcome. But I think once the police are investigating this, we should leave them to investigate it and come. I mean, this is an unfortunate situation. It could have been managed better.
Yeah.
But once we are people governed by law and governed by other statutes, I think we should wait for the police to come out with a comprehensive report that will inform the decisions going forward.
But should the registration process come down to this level? Should we be seeing violence at registration centers? Well, we want to be fair, and so we admit that it's not a nationwide in character, but then we've seen and heard what happened in Banda. We saw also some scuffle or some chaos somewhere in Ungwa, and now we are hearing that of Kaswa. This is a registration exercise. Should it come down to this level, and then what does it say going into the December elections?
Obviously no, but Nana, like I said, if we want to give it a national out, the process is supposed to register voters who
Eligible
vote
voters,
at the end of the day, exercise their right to choose who should lead them. Right. So definitely this shouldn't be it. But as a process that involves human beings of all walks of life, you should expect some of these things. But like I said, the interest and the way we push it is what we either let us have a lasting solution to some of these things, or they'll keep recurring. This is not the first. And if we are not careful and we keep handling it based on our interests, then it will keep recurring.
Right.
And at every point, I mean, this is not the first time, in particular, a woman has felt unsafe at a station and has reacted.
Yeah.
There have been instances where women have been maimed, and I want to stick it to women because there's a woman in the center of this thing.
Right.
It also brings into perspective the safety of women in politics. We are talking at a point where we're encouraging women to take leadership positions, right? So these things are unfortunate. We can manage them better, but it also brings to fore the conversation on how we conduct ourselves anybody who finds themselves in danger. We all have different approaches to handling things.
Right.
Everybody and whatever. But what I want to appeal to all of us, and especially having two women in that constituency, and in the case where because if my memory serves me right, the NDC's primaries was postponed till October last year because it was not safe to run the primary. So this is actually a constituency with a certain outlook that we also need to put in perspective.
Right.
So I think, and I still appeal to all of us to leave the police to do a thorough investigation.
Right, Laura,
at the end of the day, yes.
Before I move to now, briefly, I want to know what you think about calls for the Honorable Mavis Hawakumsin to resign.
I mean, these are calls from professional bodies. Everybody is giving their opinion based on it. And if you listen to Reverend very well of Peace FM, is it Reverend Asante?
Yes.
He called on the president. He called on the privileges committee. So that should tell you that we have systems in place to address some of these things. And Nana, let's assume, God forbid, we are having this program. You say something that is against the editorial policy of CTTV or your media house, right? Probably is against my party. The first thing I want to do is get you off, because then you become a threat to my interest, right? But at the end of the day, your institution has policies that deals with these things. And obviously, when you are deep within you, you know that's what you did, because we all don't go out with bad intentions.
Right.
Our actions are always informed by some good intent, right?
Okay.
But then implementation of whatever action you take might be misconstrued in so many ways.
Right.
This is not saying anybody is endorsing what happened at, but let's give the law the chance. Let's give the police a chance to give us proper basis on deciding on this. But I like the call from the Peace Council. He has called on the appropriate institutions to deal with this. And I think we should give them the chance. And I like the speed with which the police is handling this.
All right, great. Let me come to you now. Yeah, this is your constituency. You are contesting on the ticket of the NDC. You must have some first-hand information on what must have happened there. Let's not go into that, but let's look at the aftermath of the incident and how going forward we can stop some of these things from happening. The calls for the MP to resign, and of course the complaint filed by some CSO ASEPA for some criminal procedures to be taken up on Madam Hawa Kumsin. Do you think it should end there? Would that put the matter to rest and of course inform others on how to conduct themselves going forward at registration centers?
Okay, I would want to say good morning to your lovely viewers and good morning to you in the studio as well. And Nora, good morning.
Good morning.
First time meeting you, I'm delighted. As you said earlier, I don't think it is too necessary to go into the case now. And the police is handling the case.
Right.
And the guys that were arrested have been sent to court and granted bail. So I think we should leave it to the appropriate authorities, that's the police and the courts, to continue with their investigations. And let's just follow up on the ongoings and let's see how this would end. As Nora said earlier, I wouldn't say the EC hasn't done a great job. The EC has done a great job. We wouldn't just single out the Ewutu East constituency and say that the whole EC has done something wrong in this registration exercise. It is something with Ewutu East constituency and some other constituencies. So it is not a general thing that is happening. What I would say is the harm has already been caused. Let's say someone could have lost his or her life in that incident, which is quite unfortunate. As Nora said, we don't go to places prepared for such eventualities, but then anything could have happened on that day. So the police are handling it. The appropriate authorities have also called for some actions to be taken against the Minister for Special Initiative. So we will sit down and allow the law to take its course. I believe we have the constitution in Ghana that speaks against some of these things. The leaders and the professional bodies, ASEPA, the Peace Council have said their own. I know more Imani and others are also coming on board. It is just the safety of the society, the safety of the people we govern, the safety of the people we lodge over, and what we are teaching our children and those who are not deep into politics. When we talk of the women to woman affair, I believe that at this stage, as two women, we should be talking about policies, what one is bringing on board, what one has done, rather than fighting each other. As Nora said, she's fully for women, and I'm also fully for women that are empowering themselves, especially through politics. Women who want to be opinion leaders, women who want to speak out for the other women and also for the people in the society. So I wouldn't say that I would do anything to affect a colleague woman, depending on where you are, what political party you are affiliated to. I would support every woman, but you will not support wrongdoings from anybody, even if it's from my own party. That is what I'll say. So the harm has already been caused and damages have been caused. The police is handling the case, and I believe that the police is doing a fantastic job on this case. We will follow this case keenly, and let's see the outcome of it.
Yeah, but minus this incident, generally, what do you make of the registration exercise in your constituency? I'm sure you must have gone around some of the various centers, and so what has been your general observation so far?
Okay, the observation in my constituency from day one, Ewutu Senya East constituency, which is popularly known as Kaswa and its environs, people have been beaten. People have been hurt. People were struck with sticks and machetes. Gunshots were flying all over the place. There are videos flying all over around. There are people who are still in hospital. People are yet to go take off their stitches. And all these people happened not to be anybody but NDC agents. So I would ask, why is it that only NDC people are being attacked? And they are not passerbys, they are agents. What I'll say is the election in the registration in Kaswa hasn't been calm since it started. As I said, from phase 1, and we are in phase 4 now, it has been a banter affair throughout. So I would call for peace. I believe that the NPP is also listening. Hawa Kumsin or her people, the party members, the appropriate authorities are also listening. And let's call for calm in the Ewutu Senya East constituency. Now people are even afraid to move out to register. Right. Children are afraid to move out. The mothers are afraid. Even when there is a registration center closer to your house, you are even scared to be home because you don't know when a bullet will be flying through your house. So let's just call for calmness and peace within the Ewutu Senya East constituency and its environs, and let's this registration exercise end successfully. That is all what's not for you, and the NDC is calling for.
All right, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll delve into some other issues. We have coronavirus to discuss, and of course, the mid-year budget review also going to come up. But we want to hear from you guys, and so use the hashtag Breakfast Daily on all the social media platforms, and of course, send in your messages via WhatsApp on the number 0550585832. This is Breakfast Daily. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
There is nothing as hard as a diamond. For buildings with superior strength that withstand all weather conditions, Diamond Cement should be your preferred choice. Locate Diamond Cement nationwide with factories in Aflao, Takrady and Bupe. Diamond Cement, as hard as a diamond.
You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on CTTV. We're having the news review segment, and I have the parliamentary candidate for Ewutu Senya East on the ticket of the NDC here with me, or she's joined via Zoom. And of course, we have a member of the NPP's national communication team also joining us via Zoom. Just come by, we're discussing the voter registration exercise. Now we want to move into the common enemy that we are all dealing with, the coronavirus. coronavirus pandemic and look at some of the issues coming up in there. Yesterday there was a press conference. A number of issues came out from there. We heard that out of the 96 students who had tested positive in the Greater Accra region, 73 of them had recovered. Good news there. And then also we heard that testing regime had also been revised, or some strategies, new strategies are going to be implemented. We had Dr. Kumar telling us that the health workers, of course, and symptomatic persons will be prioritized so that it reduces or lessens the burden on the testing facilities. Then also we had President Tuffour also speaking upon his return to work after his 14-day isolation. So I'm going to take that story off the citynewsroom.com and then we can begin a discussion on coronavirus. Now the story says, I wasn't flown to UK for COVID-19 treatment, and is attributed to Nana Addo. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says at no point in time during his 14-day self-isolation was he flown to the United Kingdom for COVID-19 treatment. It will be recorded that days after announcing his 14-day self-isolation, some media outlets report and must be disregarded. President Akufo-Addo, who said he was amazed that the media reports said he had been in Ghana throughout his 2 weeks isolation period. The president made this known during his first public appearance on Tuesday, July 21, after his 14 days of isolation at a meeting with the Vehicles and Assets Dealers Union of Ghana. Quote, I will want to thank you for your interest in my welfare. I am fine and I am here. I was sitting in my room and I was told I was sitting in a plane for Oxford. And I was amazed, but here it is. This is the Ghana where we live, end quote, he said. Laura, too, this is the Ghana in which we live. We want to find out, what does some of these reports or stories do to the fight against coronavirus? How does some of these stories, which end up not to be true, damage or hurt our fight against the virus?
Nana, I mean, like, before I even go on, we thank God for the life of our dear President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And inshallah, he will make it to 2020 election, win the election, inshallah, and continue the good work he's doing. Because some of these reports are irresponsible and we need to condemn them. I mean, the president is even being charitable and, as usual, the kind of leader he is. Why would you even speculate such a thing? You know, was that what the people speculating that would have done if they were found in the current situation that His Excellency the President finds himself in? I mean, this is someone who has shown so much leadership, shown so much concern for the well-being of citizens that he's supposed to make, whose lives he's supposed to make better, and he's on course. I mean, this pandemic has thrown a lot of things out of gear, but he's held on to make sure that he deals with it head on and needs the support of all of us. So the last thing we should be doing to a president who has willingly decided to go into isolation for 14 days, not because he tested positive, but just because he was exposed to a close associate who had tested positive. I mean, that is something we should be commending. This was a president who was sitting at and still working, even with calls on him to rest. He obviously knows the task is huge and he needs to make sure citizens are okay and safe, and he's doing his best. The best we can do is support him and not to be lying about me. With COVID, I mean, like you already mentioned in the intro and the story you read, we've made so many strides. This is a pandemic. This is a virus that changes its character probably by the hour. Yeah. At every point in time, there's something new. that has to be addressed. And as I always say, WHO will bring the protocols, WHO will advise on it, but at the end of the day, it's up to the country to tailor it to suit its circumstances.
Right.
And that's what we've done consistently since this was declared a pandemic in March. Right. So all we need to do, and I always hammer on personal responsibility. At the end of the day, if we all take a cue from the president, take responsibility for our safety, and by extension, being our brother's keeper, keeping ourselves safe, keeping away from people when we find ourselves exposed or when we start showing symptoms, at the end of the day, collectively, we can beat this fight. Beat this virus, win the fight, and we can all come back to living our lives as it ought to be.
Great.
Look at the number of recoveries we are recording. It's unfortunate we are still recording deaths, but we can try as much as we can. But when you also look at it, like I always say on your platform, even one person dying is a big deal.
Yeah.
Not to talk about a little over 100.
Exactly. Every life matters.
Unfortunately, this is what we find ourselves in. So at the end of the day, I always say, let's all be responsible. Let's all keep our safe. Let's all be alert. Let's adhere to the enhanced hygiene protocols. Let's wear our mask. It's amazing how people still think they can walk around at a time where this virus has been declared as airborne. And people still think they can wear their mask. They can leave their faces open and go about their lives as normal. We find ourselves in a situation that even superpowers are struggling to deal with.
Exactly. True.
Let's all adhere to the protocols. Let's all keep safe. At the end of the day, all the things that we are doing, if we are not safe, if we are not alive to witness the fruits that those things will bear, then there's no need going about it.
Very
so
important.
Let's the president and let's avoid the churning out of fake news. That is what breeds the stigma. That is what breeds the misconceptions and all that. Let us all support this cause. Our president is leading us in the right direction. Let us all support him. Stop sitting on the fence, and all hands should be on deck so we can in this fight against COVID.
Great, thank you. Let me come to you now, Koyo. How much of a confidence booster will the resumption of work by the president and, of course, the truth coming out now that indeed he wasn't flown out of the country for treatment be to those who, especially those who would have otherwise thrown their hands in the air in despair and given up on the fight? How much of a confidence booster will this story from the presidency be to such persons?
Okay, I would first of all want to recommend the next president of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, for the leadership skill. For the leadership skill he has exhibited in suspending his star. Yes, because of lack of education on the protocols for COVID-19. He realized that education hasn't gone too well with the people of Ghana.
So perhaps inadequate, but not lack of.
Okay, probably inadequate. Inadequate education has not gone too well with the people of Ghana. So there have been some suspension of his stores. So I want to recommend him for that. And the other thing is the president's, well, he says that he was at his Jubilee House relaxing and observing the 14-day quarantine. So we'll take it at that. But I would want to say on authority that we are grateful that majority of the people have recovered, especially with students who were pushed to school to go face this pandemic without their parents being there to support them or even comfort them. So we are grateful to that as well. Then also with the issue of the fight against COVID-19, I believe that this fight hasn't gone too well. You see, we cannot take our personal or political interest over the national interest. Look at the issue of the schools. Look at the issue of our children being sent to school at this time. Look at this issue of being pushed to go and have a new registration in this kind of pandemic. I'm not saying the world or the country should come to a halt because of COVID-19, but yet let us not push our political interest above our national interest. It's quite disheartening when I hear of this a school child being tested positive and all that. When we talk of COVID-19, what happened to the pastors that were arrested and jailed? What happened to them? Let's compare this to his own party members flouting the rules, flouting the protocol rules when they knew that they had tested positive. What has happened to them? Were they given the same measure of punishment as was given to those pastors that were jailed? These are the questions that we should ask ourselves as a country. Being in Ghana, Nanado's commitment to COVID-19, I wish him well. I don't wish Nanado to die, because if he dies, he will not be able to account to the good people of Ghana. We need him alive so that he can account to the good people of Ghana, so that he can tell us what he has done over the 4 years. So we can stand on that and kick him out of government. So his COVID-19 team, his ministry, and his fight against COVID-19 hasn't been the best. The numbers are still rising. We pray that the death rates continues to come down. They don't go up. But who are we? Who are we to say that the death rate should come down? The numbers are still going up. Day in, day out, you'll find the numbers going up. What is he and his team doing about it? We need the people of Ghana alive. We need the people of Ghana alive to help us take decisions come 7 December. We cannot lose our lives because of 1 or 2 decisions that has been wrongly taken. So for the management and the fight of COVID-19, it is a no-no for me now, Colin.
Yeah, but your party has a team as well, a COVID-19 team as well. So what are some of the suggestions you would make to help improve the fight if you say that so far you are not impressed with the fight against COVID-19?
Yes, our COVID-19 team is working. It's working very, very hard to help. We came on board. We put in an initiative, and the team met with the president. They discussed certain issues. But, when you meet an elderly man, you give him a suggestion and he doesn't take it. You cannot force a horse to drink water when you have forced it to the riverside. But the COVID-19 team of the NDC is working very, very hard to see that the spread of COVID-19 stops. They've had a meeting just yesterday. They're strategizing more, and they're still on the ground. They are going to the interlands. They've moved to the savannah areas to work, and even the most common thing is education. As you said earlier, we need to educate our people. We need to tell them and show them what the protocols are. We need to even let them know what the symptoms are when it comes to COVID-19, because people get COVID-19 and then they are home, they are even scared. And now stigmatization has also become a major issue in Ghana now. So people refuse to even visit the hospitals. Now, when you get a normal cold, you are attacked as COVID-19. When you lose your voice, you are attacked as COVID-19. So the NDC COVID-19 team it's on the ground. It's on the ground, doing a very great job, going to the interlands. Almost all of them are medical experts, giving medical attention to some people within the interlands and within the country. So the NDC COVID-19 team is doing a fantastic job, finding ways and means to curb the spread and the stigmatization of people affected with COVID-19.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Laura, just a minute on this. Former President Mahama is saying that there's the need to increase or improve on the education of the signs, symptoms, and of course the safety protocols of COVID-19. Briefly touch on this and then we can move on to something else.
Nana, it's interesting the way my sister and the NDC have handled this COVID fight from the onset. I mean, we need to be consistent in this country, and for a party that claims to be the alternative, this is amazing. Look, when we talk about leadership, we're just talking about His Excellency the President. He, when he was exposed, retreated, but was still directing from his base. We saw evidence of meetings he was having with his teams. We saw it. But you come and tell me that you set up a team that is on the ground working, and your flag bearer is now shouting, how many months down the line, that there's no education, there's no, people are not observing the protocols. When these same people are moving around without masks. Look, it was on this same platform that I was telling Margot that the education at the end of the day comes to all of us. You set a parallel team. We've left you to be. We are in this fight together, and the president, time without number, has mentioned this, that this is a collective one because nobody knows who this virus can get to. Right. A president has led this. Every citizen is supposed to follow. You have someone who wants to come and take over from this president who is doing an impressive job, who goes out, sees citizens in danger, and all he can do is get back into his house and tell us to educate. This is amazing. I was hoping that at that point in time, because it's amazing that a president, someone who wants to be president, someone who has been former president before, will go out without knowing the situation on the ground. I mean, this populist approach to nation building is something we should all discourage. This is unacceptable. We have been at this since March.
All right, please wrap up on this for me.
What has the NDC 18-member team been doing so far? They couldn't spend even 5 minutes educating the people on social distancing, educating the people on wearing of masks. All they have to do is go back home and tell us to educate. A government that is leading information in 13 languages. A government that gives at every opportunity, gives people updates on what we are doing on COVID. A government that is pushing to support small-scale industries through MBSSI. A government that is going all over.
You should be wrapping up on this.
The economy afloat. What are they doing? They should tell us. What is the 18-member team doing? And you sit down and just go back home. Ghanaians should take judicial notice of this, because honestly, I don't know how to even take it.
All right, thank you, Laura. Let's move on.
Understand what is being done.
Right, let's move on to other subjects. We're running out of time.
Are pretending to be sleeping. We are in this together.
Laura, thank you for that submission. We're moving on to other stories now.
Wow.
Let's deal with other issues now. The finance minister is expected in Parliament, of course, to present the mid-year budget review. Now, various sectors of the economy have been chipping in what their expectations are. So briefly, I just want to take a story of citybusinessnews.com. This one says, make provision for a $1.4 billion debt in mid-year budget. IPPs to government. I'll take a paragraph or two and then I throw it to the two of you so we can touch on it. Now, it says ahead of the presentation of the 2020 mid-year budget review in Parliament on Thursday, July 23, the Chamber of Independent Power Producers and Bulk Consumers, CIPDIB, is asking government to capture the payment of about $1.4 billion debt owed them in the budget. Now, according to the chamber, which is made up of Sano Nasogli Power Ghana Limited, BXC Solar Ghana, Senate Energy Limited, Send Power Generation Company Limited, and Car Power Ship Ghana Company Limited, the continuous accumulation of the debt is forcing them to contract costly loans to sustain their generations. Now, we've also heard from other organizations, COPEC in the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union, a number of them asking for to see some tax reliefs in the mid-year budget review. I'm going to start from you now, Koyo. What are your expectations from the budget review on Thursday?
Okay, I would want to say that, let me just spare me a minute to touch on an issue. When the NPP had their primaries, they did not think of the protocols covering COVID-19. When Carlos Ahenkra was moving towards people, was hugging and shaking people, he did not think that he was positive then. The president only asked them and warned them. And that was all. That was it.
Okay, noted. Let's talk about the budget review now. Our time is running out. We're losing time. So
has already been paralyzed by the president, and there is nothing we can do about it.
Noted.
Now to the budget.
Yes, please.
To the budget.
Yes. What are your expectations?
I'm expecting nothing from this budget, honestly.
Wow.
Nothing at all from this budget.
Wow.
I know there's going to be nothing good for the people of Ghana. I know that we are not going to enjoy nothing new. The market women are crying, the Traders Association are worried, the sellers are crying, the buyers are crying, business owners are crying, the banks are crying, the small microfinance are worried. Banks are being shut down, the microfinance, the whole country, the economy of the country is at a standstill now. What else do we expect from the president? There is nothing better to expect than from the minister. Sorry, there is nothing better to expect from this budget than the normal every year routine of repetition of one thing, one promises to the other, and on and on and on. Trust me, when we promise jobs, when the NDC promises jobs and builds jobs, the NDC comes to collapse. What kind of budget are we expecting from one who delights in collapsing the jobs of the people of Ghana? When they build radio station, the NPP collapses it and build yes. What kind of budget are we expecting from such a government? Small scale miners, their jobs are down. What kind of a budget are we expecting to satisfy the people that have lost their jobs, the people that have died as a result of their job loss, the people that are being in jail or that have to pay for loans with high interest whilst they are home not working, the people that have their excavators stolen, the people that have their machines burnt, the people, graduates that have to go through NAPCO because they have lost their jobs as bank managers and so on. People have turned to Uber drivers. People have turned to truck pushers because they've lost their banks at the job. What is in the budget that would benefit them as Ghanaians? If we are there to collapse the businesses, if we are there to fold up the little that man uses to feed himself and family, What else are we expecting as a country in this budget? So far as I am concerned, the budget reading will not change anything in this country. The people of Ghana are suffering, and this budget will rather make us suffer more. There is nothing in it for the good people of Ghana.
Okay, now thank you very much. Laura, too, you have the final take. Budget.
I don't expect my sister and the NDC to expect anything because, I mean, this is a government that left us with IMF. This is a government, because of taking us to IMF, there was a freeze on employment. This is a government that left us with the Unemployed Graduates Association. This is a government that's left this economy, I mean, the worst it could ever be. This is a government that's made us struggle with doomsday for God knows how long, right? So I don't expect them because they don't understand how to keep an economy in shape.
So what are your expectations from the budget?
We know what to do. I mean, I'm just sitting here wondering what our state would have been if NDC was the one in power in this circumstance. But definitely, you've seen some interventions that are there. Every nation's budget for 2020 has been thrown out of gear.
Exactly.
We've still done a lot. I mentioned the 600 million through MBSSI for small and medium-scale industries. We've taken loans and all that. This is a government that wants to account to the people and let them know what we are doing. We've enjoyed, Nana, you've enjoyed free water, you've enjoyed free electricity, 50%. You are not on the lifeline, you are not a lifeline customer, obviously, so you enjoy 50% of your electricity bill. It will be spoken about. We've had, when we were under lockdown, the vulnerable were taken care of.
Laura, please wrap up on it for me.
Come again?
You should be wrapping up for me.
Yes, I mean, the NDC talked about all these things that we're doing, but at the end of the day, we've sustained the economy better than they would have ever sustained it in a situation like this. And that is what the finance minister is going to put out about. It's going to be one of hope. We don't need to throw our hands in despair like the NDC is doing because they are clueless about how these things are supposed to be done. We have a leader who is compassionate, who knows what he's about in His Excellency the President, and he's leading the charge. So the finance minister is going to put out the good things we've done and how we are going to remedy the situation and still be in charge of our economy, even in the face of.
Thank you so very much, ladies. Thank you so much. Nakoyo Kuno, the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Wutu Senya East, who is not expecting anything good from the media budget review. And of course, thank you to Laura Tumusa Saka, a member of the NPP's National Communications team, who says the media budget review will be one of hope. So grateful for your time. And thank you to you, of course, those of you watching us from wherever you may be on social media or on national television. We're grateful. This is Breakfast Daily. When we come back, we have some more interesting stuff for you. Please don't go away.
There is no promise we cannot keep. There is no commitment we cannot honor. There is no delivery we cannot guarantee. There is only one Bethel Logistics Company Limited, a licensed international freight forwarding and clearing agent, a trusted global brand with an extensive network for the movement of air freight and ocean freight worldwide. We are the trusted name for road freight into Western and Northern Africa. We are fully accredited by Ghana Customs and Excise. We cater for all your freight forwarding, customs clearing and forwarding, cross trades, inland transportation, internal cargo tracking systems, customer freight costing and consultancy, cold chain logistics management, logistics and warehousing, quality inspection, and much more. In Accra, Tema, and Takrady, we are always available to ensure easy movement of cargo countrywide. Call us on 0204 528 900 or 0244 707 859. Email info@bethellogistics.com. Locate us in Accra at North Ridge, adjacent Accra Girls High School, or in Tema at Community 4, or in Takrady on the second floor of the GCB building. Website bethellogistics.com. Bethlog, experts in shipping logistics.
There are those with untold stories, unraveled feats, life-changing stories, and lasting legacies. They tell their stories themselves on footprints. Yes.
Oh, at some point, well, we are taking the step. Unfortunately, he was dragging the country into an abyss.
Yeah.
So we saw it. But they have held power, the guns and so forth. Who were we to? We just watched. But by, I believe, 74-5, the country was seeing through him. That this man was a total misfit.
But he was a happy man.
But because in Akan there's a proverb.
Be inspired by their hard work and resilience that led to their outstanding achievements as we trace their footsteps through time.
Lincoln, we have one of our, school member died or whatever, so we have to go there and perform during the funeral, whatever. And then I was feeling thirsty, so there was but those days it's not like pure water or whatever. They sell the water in a bottle, yeah, stuff like that. So there was a bottle there. I thought it was just a water. No, it was Aquateshi, So I just took it. When I drank it, before I realized, Charlie. So what happened to me? I was like, Charlie, I've never touched. So since then, I've never touched alcohol.
Okay, so you didn't drink alcohol,
and
you never smoked?
Smoke, no way. No.
Really?
Never.
Wow.
Never.
Then who comes out of the car? Chachu Chikata and Kojo Chikata. And the Chachu told me that they have, Kojo was sick since the morning and he has been tortured and whatnot, and they have come for medical attention. Of course, naturally, I have to look after them, even though they are very close relatives. So I look at Kojo, I examine him, I notice that he's definitely been tortured. And there was blood, deep-seated blood in the ears. You can see that clearly.
So join me, Samuel Atamensa, and my guests every Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. for Footprints, only on City TV.
Footprint is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. And guess what time it is? It's time to talk consumer technology with no mean person than the host of City Trends on City 97.3 FM. And of course, our head of production here at City TV, Philip Ashong. How you doing, man?
Tuffour, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Awesome. I'm great.
Really?
Awesome.
How has the week been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been a great week. I mean, I love Wednesdays. I mean,
and
yeah, Dugbe gave me some more vim for the days.
Vim that will take you into the weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he handled the guy real good.
I love his tenacity.
I think we can do some small analogy to relate to the topic we're going to discuss.
Exactly.
I mean, the man had doubts and then he lost it to normality. And now he's come back to free up some space so that he can
and the truth is he had to let go of a lot of negativity and everything, and so it's good
to find closure.
Exactly, it's good that he was able to find that. And I mean, for the past 2 weeks, that's what we've been talking about: making space on our computer devices and other devices that we use, whether it's a tablet or whichever one. In the first week, we started having a general overview of what the whole storage ecosystem and conversation is about. Last week, we did for your mobile devices, iOS or Android and whichever. Today, we're going to look at your PCs and your Macs, for those of you who use Mac computers. We're going to start off with a short video looking basically at how to free up space on your Mac. When we finish, I'll talk about some of the details in there, and then we'll get into the conversation about the Windows, because there are apparently some very interesting updates that Windows as a community has introduced that helps you to manage your space very well. So let's take a look at this video looking at how you can free up space on your Mac. Yes, so let's look at the Mac conversation first, and then we'll look at the Windows conversation after.
All right, let's do that.
Need some more space on your Mac? You can manage your storage with some useful tools in Mac OS. Before you get started, you can make a time machine backup to ensure you can access anything on your Mac that you might need later. To access the storage management tools on your Mac, you can click this notification that might appear when you're running low on space, or you can click the Apple menu in the upper left corner, then About This Mac, and Storage. In this window, you'll see an overview of how your storage space is being used and how much space you have available. Click the Manage button to see recommendations for optimizing your storage. These recommendations may vary depending on your settings. At the top of this window, you might see Store in iCloud. This option helps you store everything in iCloud and automatically makes your seldom used files available on demand when you need more space. Files from your desktop and documents will be stored in iCloud Drive, while photos and videos will be stored in iCloud Photos. Plus, you'll keep your messages in iCloud too. Keep in mind that this will count towards your iCloud storage limit. To store files, photos, and messages in iCloud, click Store in iCloud, and then Confirm. Now let's look at the Optimize Storage tool. This automatically makes older email attachments and iTunes TV shows and movies that you've already watched available on demand. To enable this recommendation, click Optimize and Confirm. You can easily get rid of files you don't plan to use again by setting your Mac to empty the trash automatically. This will erase items that have been in the trash for 30 days or more. To enable this option, click Turn On and then Confirm. There's also a tool to help you reduce clutter. Click Review Files to identify large files that you may no longer need. Then select a file, click Delete, and then Confirm to remove it from your Mac. Click Applications to see how much space each of your apps takes up. See one you haven't used in a while? Click the app, then click Delete, and click Delete one more time. Another way to make room is to remove any users or groups who no longer need access to your Mac. To do this, open System Preferences. Then click Users and Groups. Now click the lock to make changes and enter your password if prompted. Then click the profile of the user that no longer needs access to your Mac and click the minus sign to delete it. Select Delete the Home folder to completely erase the user account. This option will permanently delete every file within that account, so make sure there's nothing you need to save before selecting this option. If you're sure, click Delete User. If you've run out of things to delete, consider copying some of your files, photos, and other personal documents to an external drive and deleting them from your Mac. You can use the same drive for your Time Machine backups and for extra storage on demand. Check out the links in the description below to learn more about these options. Now you have more space and your Mac is nice and tidy. For more helpful tips like this, subscribe to the Apple Support channel or click a video to keep watching.
And so basically that is a breakdown of how you can basically get rid of some of the excess files that you don't need and save up space. As you could see there, all of this is inbuilt into the machine. So you basically can do all of this without necessarily bringing in any additional software or anything like that. I mean, if you do some specialized things on your computer, for example, you're a video editor, you are a graphic artist, or other related professions that get you to use your computer beyond the everyday and beyond the normal. There are obviously things like what we talked about, the cached files and things like that. Files that are stored in certain parts of your computer that you might not necessarily easily find using some of these options. The Mac App Store allows you to download some very, very good options for you to be able to do a proper overview of your hard disk, locate exactly where the problem points are, where cache files are being stored and things like that. You can get access to those, and those sometimes most often come at a cost. But it's good that at least there's a free option that is inbuilt into the system that allows you to manage all the space that is on the machine. So one of the things that I also find very interesting is how it does a detailed breakdown on the left side. When we watch the video there, you see a detailed breakdown of all the locations and some of the file sizes, so so this project that I probably worked on a couple of weeks ago, this is where it's stored here. One of the big things also is the issue of the Time Machine and creating the backup. People sometimes forget how important creating a backup is, but it's really important to always keep in mind. You never know when something is going to happen. Your laptop is going to get stolen, it will fall in water, anything can happen, and it's always good to have that backup. For me, I always say every 6 months you should always back up your entire hard drive, if possible. Get an external hard drive and create a backup of everything you've done. Every 6 months, just update it. Every 6 months, just update it. And it always helps. If you are someone who works on projects regularly, I will always say that always ensure that after every major project you update your backup. That's my personal advice to people who are basically working on projects, whether it's a building project or it's a video project or whatever. I will always advise that try as much as possible to create a backup after every major project. Now, one of the interesting things I'd like to draw viewers' attention to, it's on the left side there, on the left side of the screen, you can see a breakdown of all the locations. So first, you have the recommendations, you have the applications, and then all the others, iTunes and everything. So you basically get a good idea of where your information is being stored, how much is being stored where, and you can go in there and basically get rid of the things that you don't really need. You can see emptying, and you can actually set your machine to empty the trash automatically, or you can do it manually. I prefer to do it manually because automatically sometimes you might think that it is gone, and sometimes it just will take it away. You can optimize storage, you can reduce clutter. All these are available for you on the Mac. So let's get into the conversation about the PC or the Windows. Windows-based machines basically offer you some options. Now, in the last couple of weeks, there's been a number of updates to the operating system, and there's something that is really, really interesting that Windows has done, and they call it Storage Sense. They call it Storage Sense, and we're going to show that in just a bit, what exactly the Storage Sense is. Now, this is one of someone's desktop, basically. And what we do basically now is that we went into the machine, and then what we did was that we went into the storage options. So you go into settings, and then you choose the storage. Now, if you have updated your Windows, Storage Sense basically is new. It's going to be there for you.
Yeah.
What it does is a lot of the old stuff that we used to go through, the fragmentation, all these other things that we use to go through these processes have all been sort of brought together under one umbrella.
Okay.
You know, so you basically go to one place to ensure that you can manage all your storage issues from one place. So you don't have to. You know, so I will show. We're just going to show that again, the process. But you should note that we will also go through all the other old options. So like I said, you go to settings, you go into your machine there, and then you basically just follow you go into system, and then you go into storage, and you find storage sense. Storage sense is most likely going to be either at the top or at the bottom of the screen. So you see that you hit storage, and then it opens the storage options for you, and then once you get that, you can set up. And this machine has storage sense at the top. You can either set it up if you never set it up before, or you can run it. If you've been it's something that you've been doing. Amazing. And so you just basically go through the options, whether you want to have the system do this regularly, every 1 month, every 2 months, whichever. You can basically see all those options there, and once you go through all those options, you just hit clean now, and it runs through the system for you. So whatever you get, is basically a cleaned up machine that you can basically work with. So that is one of the options available if you're a Windows user. The other option available, and so you can see that his machine is currently being cleaned up based on the options that he went for. One of the other things that often comes up is something we call Windows disk cleanup. So you can actually sort of do a thorough review of your disks. Some people have a main hard disk, as you can see here. So we have the C drive, and then we have other drives installed into the system. So what you can basically do now is that you can do a disk cleanup. And the disk cleaner basically gives you an overview of, just like we found in the Mac system. You get to see that little circle that just shows you how much of the space you've used, how much is left. And you can do a disk cleanup from here, and then the system does a scan of itself and notices, some of the files where they are, some of the really large files, some of them you don't use, and things like that. So it does a disk cleanup or a system cleanup to figure out where the files and things are. And so you have that little window over there. You go through it, you select the things that you want to remove and the things that you want to keep. And once you're done, boom, you're good to go. So that is one of the things that you can also consider. One of the other things is that people sometimes install all manner of programs. And sometimes it gets to a point where you don't even use it anymore. So one of the things you can also do to save up space is to remove unwanted or unused programs. It makes life much easier for you. So you go into control panel. When you go into control panel, you just head on to the programs tab. And then when you get to the programs tab, you will find all the programs listed there. You go through the list, pick out the ones that you often don't use. Sometimes, depending on how critical your situation is in terms of the space.
Is it going to come arranged in that order?
No, it's going to come arranged in a default order. It can be either based on size, it can be based on alphabetical order, or a number of things. So you can just arrange that. You can either arrange it by size, you can arrange by date modified, or whichever one it is, based on your criteria. So for example, how often do I use a particular software? You arrange date modified so you know what you're dealing with. Most often than not, I would suggest that you arrange it based on size, so you see the one that you are not using, which is still taking up too much space on the machine, so you can get rid of those. Now, after you've considered uninstalling programs, you can also do some pretty simple things. Things like temporary files. You can actually get rid of temporary files. And this is the temporary files folder on this particular machine. Some people, this actually the trash actually, but the temporary files can be either using Chrome or using some browser or using some other things. Now the thing is, all these applications we use have all these little files that it keeps, temporary files that it can easily make reference to, like we talked about the cache files and things like that. So that's one thing you can also look at. This is someone's recycle bin. Clearly, someone hasn't been paying very close attention to their recycle bin. So you can see quite a number of files that are there. A lot of professionals, I'm sure, have this nightmare once in a while if you don't do your regular check. So this is typically how it will look like. You just select literally everything and then boom, you hit yes, and everything will go away, giving you enough space for you to function with. So I mean, generally, one of the final things that you can also consider is just literally buy an external source of storage. The final thing is defragmentation. Now, with defragmentation, every time you sort of do something on your computer, it's like when you're at home and you finish eating dinner. If someone doesn't wash the dishes or doesn't wash the dishes well, there will be smudges or little pieces of food on the plate. You might not notice, but it's there. Over time, it will build up. And it will come to a point where you come to the kitchen and you find ants all over the place, and you don't understand how that happened. It's basically been a build-up for a number of days. When you come to your office and you keep leaving stuff in your office and you don't remove them, it's cluttered. Basically, that's the whole idea of defragmentation. The fact that there are things scattered all over the place, things are not organized properly, so it's all scattered all around. What's important is for you to basically allow the system to sort of group things, put things together, arrange things. If Adobe files are supposed to be stored in an Adobe folder, it's supposed to actually do that. And that is what the whole defragmentation process is supposed to help you do. It's advisable not to do it too often, but it's advisable that at least you do it at least once in a while. Usually for people who have solid state drives, I mean, it really doesn't make any difference. You don't even need to bother with it. But then if you have the old hard disk drive, it is advisable that you do it every once in a while, probably like 3 or 4 times a year. Shouldn't be too bad. The other and final point that I would like to put across is the fact that you can simply buy yourself an external hard drive. We talked about this last week. You can get yourself a solid state drive, or you can get an old hard disk drive and basically plug it into your system and release some space from your machine, because once the machine gets cluttered, it makes your system slow, it gets you frustrated, you can't get things done the way you would want them to. So basically everything we've talked about comes back to the same issue. If you want your computer systems, your mobile phones, your tablets, your desktops, your laptops, if you want them to run optimally, you need to ensure you have enough space to get them to run optimally. Now, in order to have that space, you need to create that space. Every computer system comes with some available space. You need to manage and balance all of that space. So it's important that we are minded about that. At least now we understand the principles behind all of this, so that we are minded to keep our systems. We need to be doing regular checks. It's like your health. You need to be checking up on yourself, making sure you're healthy. And it's important that for your computer systems to help you to do your job, you also keep an eye on that and make sure that the system is running optimally.
Amazing stuff. So the clutter, let's talk more about the cluttering. That's when so I finish a program or I finish doing something on the PC, and then sometimes PC itself shelves some stuff somewhere.
I mean, the thing is, in order for you to do things very quickly, it needs to store bits and pieces so it can move the process along
So I start a command, then the PC knows exactly what I'm driving at, so
For example, and that's one of the things that artificial intelligence does very well. It's able to learn about how you typically do things. Your computer also knows that, for example, if you use Adobe Premiere on a daily basis, it knows that you use it on a regular basis. The reason why it's easier for you to click on previously opened sessions is because some bits have been saved over a period. Now, where is it supposed to save that? Of course, in storage. And so if there is no storage for all of this to be kept, I'm sorry, you are not going to have a very efficient system. So it's important that, once again, we are minded about how these tools that we have, these computer systems that we have, operate. And we have to understand that storage plays a very, very big part of that conversation. If you leave your system cluttered, it's like a kitchen. If it is cluttered, it's going to be very difficult for you to manage and move things very quickly. You can get things done at the end of the day, but it's going to take an extra bit of time. So it's important that we constantly manage, all of this and ensure that we have enough storage. Like I said, if push comes to shove, get yourself an external, move as much as you can from your computer onto the external and release your machine to do the best it can for you.
Right. Now say I'm a traditional person, old school type of guy. My machine is full, but I still need to get work done. So I get me an external drive, connect to it, but I want to work off the external. How safe is that?
Well, it depends. I would always say that if you want to work directly off your external, then go with a solid state drive or an SSD drive. At least in terms of the reading and writing ability, it's much faster. In terms of material being used on the computer, material being stored onto the external, it is much faster. The hard disk drive or the old drives, as the very fat ones that we used to have, or some of us still use, it's kind of slow. It's not as fast as the SSD. So I would advise that if you are going to work from an external, try as much as possible to get an SSD basically to work with. If you don't have the means, and it's completely fine if you don't have the means. If you don't have the means, just stick with your hard disk. But remember, in the same way your computer hard disk can get full, your external can also get full. The only reason you are moving stuff there is because you want to create some bit of space on your main machine to be able to function. So don't clutter that one as well. Just create a good balance between the two so you can get a lot of very good work done. But it's fine. You can absolutely do that. You can absolutely work from an external device. It's just that if you're doing very heavy work, you are doing video editing where you need the video files to be read very quickly, it's always advisable to go with a hard disk, a solid state drive instead of a hard disk drive. If you are just doing some Microsoft Office or Pages or some spreadsheet and things like that, you can absolutely work from a hard disk drive. But then if you're doing work that it's very intensive in terms of the amount of space and storage that is needed, I'll always say that go for a solid state drive.
Now I asked this question because now the machine is full, corrected, but I have an external I want to work from. With the machine itself being full, does it slow the process?
Yes, it does. It's still the same principle. If the machine is full, well, it doesn't have the space to do it. The fact that you have a bigger kitchen outside your main kitchen doesn't mean that you can easily move from the main cluttered kitchen into the open space. It doesn't work like that. You can have a pot in kitchen 1. If there's so much space in kitchen 2, but you can't move from kitchen 1 to kitchen 2, it's still back to the square one. So you do, and that's what I mean, move the material so you can have some sort of equal space between the two to make sure you can cycle between kitchen 1 and kitchen 2, or your computer and then your external.
Awesome. Amazing stuff there. Philip Ashon is the man, of course, the host of City Trends on City 97.3 FM. It's been 3 weeks